Very first line of the Old Testament. I'm talking very first line. It doesn't, even if people don't know the good book, they'll know this. In the beginning, what? God did what? Freaking created.
Right.
Like the very first identity you learn about whoever this is this being,
Right.
is he's a creator.
Yeah.
And that we get to co-create in our lives. We're creators in our life. Like you get to create. And so most people live a life of reaction to distraction. Phones, life, just react all day. That's the whole life. Versus intentionally creating your life. I've done a lot of work with John Maxwell. And he tells a story when he went to a basketball game with Pat Summitt. I don't know if you guys remember Pat Summitt. She was the all-time winningest.
Short.
Right.
She was like, was she
Tennessee Volunteers
for like what, 20 years, 30 years,
she was like
or something.
All-time winningest.
Yeah.
I think she was all-time winningest college basketball coach, male or female.
Yeah.
This woman won 6 national championships. She's no joke.
Yeah.
So he goes to the game. She invites him into the locker room at halftime. So he goes into the locker room. Her players go into the locker room, and then all the coaches go into like a side room.
Right.
So all the players are sitting there like this, and John's in there just because he got invited in, and she's not in the room. Now here's the all-time winningest coach, 6 national championships. This woman's got a lot to say. Not even in the room. The kids, the players, go up to a whiteboard like this, and they picked up a marker and answered 3 questions that were on the whiteboard. The questions were, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? Where do we need to change? The coaches walk in. Pat Summitt walks in. I mean, you can imagine this lady could lecture for days on what to do.
Sure.
Right.
She walks in, looks at the whiteboard, makes 1 or 2 comments. They do the whole all right, put your hands in the middle and
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, team cheer.
Yeah.
They walk out.
Right.
And John's like, what the heck was that? She didn't even say anything. They go to
inspiration
dinner after.
speech,
That's right.
you
We go to
know?
dinner after to a steak dinner, and they're sitting there, and he goes, "You got to tell me about the halftime thing. What was that? What was that? You didn't even say anything." And she goes, "When I was a young coach, I was an assumptive leader. I just assumed everyone got it." And she said, "I realized what I had to do is stop assuming and just ask them, what are you seeing? What are you experiencing?" And she said, when I stopped assuming, she said, in order to lead your people, you first have to find your people. You have to stop assuming they get it. Stop assuming that, that they are where they are. So here's what I'd share with you. This whole thing about your life. You stop assuming your identity because you'll always be consistent with your identity. You'll never outperform the way you see yourself. If you see yourself as a winner, you guys, it's interesting. You guys see yourselves as winners. That's why if you start a new business, you're not like, freak, I hope this goes well, dude. It's like, no, we're going to freaking go crush this thing.
Right.
Now, it may take us more time. It may take us longer than we thought. We have to wake up early. That's what winners think. Like, I'm going to freaking go
We're
crush
long-term
this.
thinkers.
If you go play for the Los Angeles Lakers, they expect to win. It's not like, man, I hope this year. If you go play for the Sacramento Kings, they're used to losing. It's okay to lose. If you lose, it's just, if you make the playoffs, they're like, wow, good for you.
Yeah,
they didn't expect it. So people will never outperform the way they see themselves. That's why people are so consistent. Liars tend to lie. Cheaters tend to cheat. Stealers tend to steal. Winners tend to win. And what I'd share with you is updating your identity. I say to people, I say to my team, or I say to people I coach all the time, I'll say, listen, when was the last, the people will be like, this is how I am. Like, when was the last time you updated that? Like, when was the last time you updated your identity? Because I tell people, you're not who you are who you were born to become. You are your potential. So don't get lost in the words here. Think of this. When you were 17, you were who you were, but you weren't who you were. You were who you are now, and you aren't who you are now. You're who you were born to become. You're chasing this version of like that growth into that full potential. So I tell people, create your future with your future, not your past. Create your future with your future vision of what you could do, who you could become with that identity that person would have versus the identity of the past.
Right.
And man, when you start getting more like, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Where do I need to improve?
What's the action item behind improving?
That's right.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you start updating, who do I have to become that person?
Yep.
And you start stringing it together. You start stringing wins
I mean,
together.
I don't think people understand the power of choice, and they really need to sit back and understand the power of choice.
They need to understand they have choice.
They have,
right?
That
They
choice
have it.
is so powerful, and everybody has that.
It's the
power.
choice to respond.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And whether it's respond, I can leave this podcast right now and get in my truck, drive to Vegas, buy a plane ticket to freaking Timbuktu, and go stay there for a week. I have that choice. Does that mean I'm going to do it? Like, how many different choices do I have when I leave this podcast? I can go that direction. Of course, I'm going to go probably the path that's the most familiar, which is home. But unfortunately, most people continue to go down a familiar path, and the home is a shitty place. where they're living, their life right now is shitty.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a choice to go straight or right. Why do they keep turning left? You don't have to do that anymore. You could create your new identity. The problem is you're living in this old character of these things that your brain reminds you of that you're not. Oh, you're terrible in school. You're a drug addict. You had a kid at 18. You did terrible in school.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Tino today that came in and met with me at noon.
Right.
And I'm like, your problem is, dude, is your mind is literally selling you all the bullshit stories of everything that you're not, based upon the fact that it's a record of the past, and you need to start looking forward.
Yeah.
Stop all that. Like, start moving. What's the next action item to go forward and get closer to the thing that you came here to talk to me about?
Do you want to know what's so interesting? You're listening to this right now, and you actually are stuck. Your life, the house does suck. The life does suck. Okay, how do I move forward? You want to know what the answer is? Freaking move forward.
Yeah.
One step.
Right.
Tell people it's a left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Move forward. Even if you stumble forward, move forward. So here's the questions I ask. There's two questions. One is, what is the attitude shift that I need to make to move forward? Because if you're in a freaking bad headspace, so I'll give you an example. Like, what could I be grateful for right now? What could I be excited for about right now? Who could I serve right now? Like, you start asking these types of questions. Second thing is, what's the next physical action I could take to move my business forward, move my life forward? Next physical action. Physical meaning like I'm going to do something, not just think about it or freaking go like want it to happen or hope it happens.
That's an action
I'm gonna
item.
Physically, like I'm going to follow up with the customer.
I'm going to send that email right now and say, set up that entity.
That's
for
exactly
me.
right.
Or let's do the business deal. I've thought about it, whatever it is. We've been on the fence about hiring that. No, hire the employee.
Next step.
Is that going to get you closer to the goal that you said that you had? Then do it.
Yes.
No matter the emotion or fear that's behind it, you move forward. That's it. There's no other option. The other option is look around you.
Yep. How do I shift my attitude? What's the next action? And then just ask it again. How do I shift my attitude? Next action. What's also interesting is this. Winners string wins together. Winners bloom where they're planted, and they start stringing wins together. That's how you create positive momentum. You guys remember that thing years ago? I think it was at malls or whatever. You put a quarter in, and it would just like spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. And then towards
Still find
the end,
them here and there. Once
it
in a
would
while.
go fast and then fall in the hole.
into the thing. Yeah.
That's how momentum works. Like, it just is like kind of like long and just like you're never going to get there. And then all of a sudden, like, it starts building up momentum. The problem is most people have negative momentum. That's actually happening in the negative.
Reverse.
Absolutely.
And so you have to, the way you stop it is stopping it and asking those two questions. Okay, how do I shift my attitude? What attitude shift could I have? Like, what could I be grateful for right now if I had to be? Second one is, what's the next physical action? And then you start going back up to create positive momentum. Same thing with positive. You get going, and all of a sudden it's just like success is just attractive, and people are like, "You're amazing." You're like, "I think I am. Let's go."
Yeah.
And you start to just build this life, but it's positive momentum. And the way you start it is those two things: shift your attitude and take action.